everyone. Welcome back to my channel. This is Master Tatiana. Today we're going to have an interesting discussion. We are going to be talking about reparenting in connection or in relation to your true self. Also in alignment with that inner child. You may have heard the term in many situations. So I'm going to explain what it is, what I mean from reparenting. Okay, so reparenting is a method used to really heal that inner child within yourself that has maybe some emotional patterns and habits. Sometimes we like to call them traumas, right? The void that this inner child has experienced to the point that now it's it's playing out as we grow in different situations, and this inner child sometimes could be a little bit what people like to label as a rebel and label it as the ego. Okay. uh, I am, yeah, I know the inner child very well. So today it's going to be a little bit intimate because I'm going to share a little bit of my own personal upbringing, and why I chose to reparent myself and the techniques that I use to activate that form of discipline, and also nurturing aspects to realign, and to bring my inner child into a place that it deserves to be, and the original state that it came as. Okay, so for those that don't know, the inner child is a part of the consciousness. Yes, consciousness speaking from the place of brightness. Okay, the consciousness that we all came in with as we were innocent and we were brought into this world. Right. As we grew, we experienced um, some things that attacked, or not attacked, but imbalance our emotional side, and also kind of has us like a little bit frightened from the discipline side. Yes. Okay. So um, I'm going to share a picture of me when I was a child. Okay. But this is one picture where I do a lot of inner child work. There's your little Tatiana. Eliani Tatiana. Yes, that's me. I think I must have been about 2, maybe almost 3 in this photo. Okay, and then I have another one here with 2 of my older siblings. Yeah. So this is my older sister. Her name is Nisi. My brother Derek, and there we go. There's me. And it's very fragile. That's why I don't remove the actual photo, because if I do, the picture will go away. Okay. All right. So my journey to healing my inner child. Just to give a little bit of history of myself. Okay, I was born in Central America. I came here when I was approximately a few months to a year old. I was raised by my auntie that I thought was my mother. I was the only girl in that home, and I had brothers, right? My aunt had sons, so I was raised as her daughter. Then few years in, maybe approximately when I was like 5 or 6, I learned who was my biological mother, whom at that time, those years, I thought was my aunt. Okay, so in my in my aunt slash mother home, I experienced the nurturing side, the caring side, the protective side. But when I discovered who was my biological mother, I went to live with her for some time. And when I was with her, I discovered what it was to not necessarily feel protected, nurtured, and very unstable. A lot of unstableness in that home. But I was very happy to learn that I had a sister because I always wanted to have a sister, and she was older than me. So there's my story. So I had a little bit of a balance of being in a home where had it all. I was very spoiled. I was daddy's little girl, and then I had a home where, of course, much more of the heavy experience happened in that home. Discovering who my mother was a very interesting stage. Um, and I didn't realize how much it was going to mold me to the person that I needed to become to eventually go so far deep into a hole that was so dark that I really felt that there was no hope. And eventually I heard a little voice, and there was like a little spark of light, and that helped to activate my hope. And eventually I am now here. And I am now known as a brain education instructor. Okay, so I now work with everything that has to do with consciousness. So I utilize the body, I utilize the mind, I utilize different techniques to help amplify your consciousness, uplift you, bring you back up. Okay, so my inner child was really, really filthy. Okay, and I'm saying this with the most gentleness energy that I can, but she was really, really filthy. Okay, my inner child needed a lot of healing, and it was hard for me to heal that inner child since I had such a victim mind. And of course, I really felt I was alone, so my inner child was really the one running the show. So in my own journey with my inner child, I discovered how I let my inner child not feel protected. So reparenting was very necessary in order for me to save my inner child. Yeah, so my inner child was very brave, but it was very fragile and scared at the same time. That it would do certain things in certain situations to protect me. And I'm very appreciative for my inner child doing these things. However, I needed my inner child to know that it's okay and that it's safe again, and that it can express herself in a different way. Yeah, I used to be really, really hard with the energy of anger and sadness. And the two go hand in hand, and they really feed off of each other. Sadness has a way of taking from anger, and anger has a way from taking from sadness in order to defend it. All right. So the inner child is also known to be the subconscious. Okay. So how do we even connect with the reparenting? How do we even use techniques for that? Okay. So to awaken your parenting within, which is your mother and father, which we all have inside, we need to use some proper tools. Okay, so it's one thing to tell you, oh, go to nature, oh, go and scream and shout, right? And then there's another thing to actually fuse the two together. Like, how do you do that? Well, you need two elements. You need the nurturing element, and you also need the the disciplinary element. Okay, so the nurturing element will definitely come from mother, right? And then the disciplinary will come from father. Okay, so we are all actually composed of three forms of consciousness. And when I discovered this, it was like a big aha. Okay, three. Um, One, of course, is the inner child. Okay, and then there's the mother, right? And there's the father. So I already shared that the mother is the nurturing, and that the father is the disciplinary. So what would be the inner child? So the inner child, I would say, is like the fuel. It's like the energy, right? It is controlled or composed of memory. Most of the time, emotional memory. Yeah, so it has all the memories of our upbringing, of our experiences of life. Yeah, it houses everything. So when we experience certain things, those memories come up, and to protect you, right? In this case, us, the subconscious will do what it feels is necessary at that time. Most of the time, it's not necessarily important or appropriate. Yeah, it's not necessarily appropriate, but the inner child will do what it has been doing if it has no mother or father. Okay, so first thing that we usually do in this time is, of course, you look at the elements that you have around you, right? Your mother, your father, right? Maybe they were in your life, maybe they weren't in your life. Okay, maybe you had a relative that raised you, maybe you had a stranger that adopted you, right? All of these individuals played a role, and you may have labeled them as nurturing for you, or you may have labeled them as a disciplinary for you. Either way, either one that you choose, they played a role, and they definitely impacted your inner child. Yeah, they impacted your inner child. So your inner child was formed and cultivated, and then you were developed, right? And you continue to develop. However, if that inner child is not taken care for, or certain things are not mended, we continue to play the cycle again and again. And even those that we feel has forsaken us or hurt us or offended us, we will reenact exactly what they did to us. Yeah. So that's is usually what makes us victims. Yeah. When we don't even realize that unconsciously we are replaying. So it's also known that these three forms of consciousness, one is known as the subconscious, which is the inner child. The second one is known as the conscience, that 5% that we talk about, that awareness, right? And then the last one is known as the superconsciousness, which holds no emotional thoughts. It just is. It's very neutral. Okay? So sometimes you have to kind of wait. When do you need the nurturing side and the disciplinary side of you? In my journey, I know that at times I need both of them. But in my case, I do need to respect the super consciousness. Yeah, and the reason why the super consciousness is very important in my case is because I am an emotional creature. I can be very emotional, and sometimes if you baby me, I can stay in my comfort. Yeah, but if you discipline me, for some reason, I could come out of that better. For some people, they need more the nurturing, than the discipline. So, In my case, I could have a little bit of both, and that's fine, but it's important to know. So, what has helped me being a brain education instructor is that I fuse myself up in a practice that provide brain stimulation methods and exercises to help me keep the mother consciousness and the father consciousness up. And of course, what that needs is willpower. It needs willpower in order for me to awaken those two forms of consciousness. However, all three of these consciousnesses are very important. I hope I'm not losing anyone. All three of those consciousnesses are very important. Okay? So, how do you even start with the reparenting? That will to want it. Okay? We may all say, yeah, I want it. But then we go backwards, right? Wanting it is a choice. Wanting it is also a need or a goal to want to bloom and heal, right? So I have mentors. I have those that surround me in this growth journey that I am, to help me recognize when I'm kind of falling back. And this journey is a healing journey, which means a healing journey does not mean that you're healed and that's it. A healing journey means that you are in this journey of recognizing what you need to do to help you grow from your pain and suffering. Okay? So sometimes you feel like, well, I don't want to go through that no more. But it's also to love that part of you that you have felt for so long was no good. Okay? And then once you could tap into that, you realize how much of a gift that experience was, versus feeling in the same boat of victimizing yourself. And then from there you can begin your healing journey. But that healing journey needs a maintenance, because many of us believe that once we go through a healing journey is that we healed and then it's forgotten. No, actually it continues to go with you and it grows. Just like you are feeding your soul and your soul is growing, as well as your ego begins to grow and it grows stronger than what it was before. So this is why it's important that once you begin this journey of reparenting yourself, of healing yourself, that you really come into a place of understanding that this is not the end and that this is just the beginning, and knowing that you need that support to maintain it, to keep it glowing, that light, because that light is going to be able to take you out of any hole, any place where you find yourself going back. Yeah. The soul is so amazing, it's so powerful, but we must know the proper tools to grow this inner child. This inner child is seeking for your guidance and your support, and it cannot do it without you. And it is begging you to actually step back in to your role and to activate your mother consciousness as well as your father consciousness to help save it from this place. It wants to be whole and complete. Your subconscious, really, that inner child wants to come up, and light in here. It wants to wake up the brain. It wants to wake this beaming brain, this little any part that's inside your brain that holds the key to every and anything you ever need. It wants desperately to awaken that part, but it cannot do it without the mother consciousness and the father consciousness. So are you ready to join me in healing your inner child? I hope so. Because I am so ready for you guys. So next time I'll do another video. I'm gonna try to cut, but like that I can make sure I have little pieces that you guys can always refer to. And yeah, I'm so excited. Yeah. So stay tuned and stay connected with me. This is gonna be a journey, and I'm ready to take you on board with me. Bye now. Thank you for watching.